Artificial intelligence is now giving people a rather strange gift.
Neuralink implanted a brain chip in a human as part of a preliminary clinical trial.
Robots on the battlefield, AI-powered drones in the air, on land, even beneath the sea.
They're not upgrading you. They're replacing you.
A lot of major companies, so think Walmart, JP Morgan Chase, Microsoft, Google, all announced that they've had significant success and significant measurable ROI using their Gen AI projects internally.
You've heard whispers of digital clones, neural implants, AI syncing. But this isn't just about enhancement. This is about engineered evolution. Because the elites aren't just tracking us, they're rewriting what it means to be human. They call it the Metahuman Project. In the past, evolution took millions of years, but today's elites believe they can do it in decades. With CRISPR, brain chips, and predictive cloning protocols, and they've already started. Start with this, a 2022 white paper from the World Economic Forum. It discussed human enhancement through genomic editing, AI cognition, and neurosynthetic implants. In other words, engineered upgrades. Elon Musk's Neuralink is public. DARPA's bioenhancement division is not. Behind closed doors, the goal is clear. Build humans that run faster, think smarter, obey longer, and never question. One prototype subject reportedly exhibited accelerated cognition in tactical simulations, outperforming trained military personnel by a factor of 6. In another case, an MIT think tank ran AI-predicted trait stacking on elite candidate embryos and found 37% could produce optimized compliance alignment. That phrase appeared once in an unlisted research slide. And yet, the same team admitted that the more genetically engineered the subjects became, the harder it was to tell if they were learning or just reacting. Neuralink isn't about convenience. It's about compatibility, merging the human mind with a synthetic network. In 2024, a private trial linked 3 patients through an AI brain-to-brain messaging interface. No screens, no speech, just thought-to-thought data. They didn't just share messages. They shared experience. Participants reported ghost memory phenomena, experiencing memories that weren't theirs, but felt real. In one test, a subject remembered seeing a car crash, vivid details, emotion, but it never happened. It was shared from another person's cortex. Military analysts call this synthetic empathy injection. It doesn't stop there. DARPA-funded programs have begun mapping neural-to-neural control loops. In theory, one individual could override another's cortex. Not just suggest, override. The deeper question, if someone else's thoughts live in your mind, are they still yours? If this shocks you, you're not ready for what's next. Would you opt in if it meant superhuman abilities? Let us know. They've already mapped the genes tied to aggression, compliance, emotional detachment. In China, CRISPR edits have produced children immune to viruses, but also unnaturally calm. One experiment, dubbed Project Harmony, focused on twins edited for docility. Their classroom behavior ranked among the top 1% in cooperative testing, but 7 years later, both children still lacked autonomous decision-making. Now companies are building upgrade stacks, packages of DNA edits that can be installed at birth. Imagine elite families selecting offspring traits the way we install apps, sliding genes into a custom genome like widgets on a phone. Designer embryos, queued like a product carousel. There's also recoding tech, funded by the EU's Horizon Labs. It allows selective gene expression toggling via remote stimuli. In simple terms, a switch for emotions. What if you could edit fear, loyalty, drive? What kind of child would that create? The result? Not evolution, configuration. Who gets access to these enhancements? Private investors, military labs, elite universities. Not you, not me. In 2023, a European defense research group created 12 synthetic augment candidates. They weren't born this way, they were made. Stronger bones, faster muscle recovery, sleep compression. One of them ran for 3.5 hours straight with no glucose drop. Another case, redacted from a Turkish intelligence memo, involved an operative who withstood high-voltage pain simulation without flinching. Zero cortisol spike, no blink reflex. In Israel, private biotech firm Nanogenesis ran a closed trial on optical focus extensions. The result? Night sight calibration without implants. And in the US, a startup called Apex Mind filed for a patent that would allow a drone's AI to sync directly with a metahuman's neural response profile, creating true man-machine co-navigation. They're not building citizens, they're building operatives. And they may already be deployed. The goal isn't just to enhance, it's to replace. One leaked DARPA memo discussed phase-out modeling, a long-term plan for replacing key workforce segments with enhanced human and AI hybrids. Some are flesh, some are synthetic, some in between. In one insider report, logistics personnel were secretly tested against bioenhanced cognition workers. The results? 22% greater throughput, 16% lower error rate, no breaks required. Think about this. If elites design superior beings, do they need the rest of us? In 2025, a senior analyst at Rand Corporation described synthetic human augmentation as the beginning of a strategic filter for post-democratic survival. That quote was buried in a redacted policy brief. And yet, here we are, watching as the filter takes shape. Early neural models showed something strange. When implants were active, subjects showed reduced resistance to moral conflict. They felt less guilt, less hesitation. In one study, a simulated hostage trial placed an augmented subject in a kill-no-kill simulation. He chose to pull the trigger 4 out of 5 times, with no psychological recoil. Combine that with social scoring, automated surveillance, and digital currency control. You don't get freedom. You get engineered obedience. And this isn't a bug, it's the feature. Another lab in Sweden injected bioenhanced nanostructures into emotional decision centers. Result? Near zero amygdala activation during threat analysis. One subject said, "I remember the choice, but I didn't feel like I made it." What kind of decisions do you make when you feel nothing? Metahuman research is funded by Google DeepMind, BlackRock AI Ventures, World Economic Forum, In-Q-Tel, or CIA's VC arm. One insider report from Deep Neurotech's patent filings showed applications for neural override pathways, suggesting direct behavior stimulation. An internal meta memo proposed trait indexing for future user tiers, premium users with neuro-adapted cognition. A leaked contract from a WEF partner biotech group included the phrase post-cognitive loyalty validation. Projected deployment Q4. They published the surface-level breakthroughs. The rest stays buried inside contracts, classified labs, and silent compliance centers. Metahumans aren't science fiction. They're already being tested. And if you're not one of them, you might not be needed. Because the elites aren't evolving, they're editing, and they're almost done. What happens after human evolution is engineered? If the elite are already building metahumans, what comes after you? What if this isn't about the future? What if the blueprint was buried long ago? In our next drop, this pyramid may have powered the world. A structure not built for death, but for energy. A machine disguised as a monument, and they may be trying to rebuild it now.